Yeah.
So Goshi, I want to talk to you about EKF. Like, what made you do it?
Oh, sure.
How you got there?
So with EKF, it was, that at a point in my life where I knew that, the Hollywood thing wasn't something that I wanted to chase. I was a big fan of like Kevin Smith and like the indie things like that. And I knew that I couldn't work in a corporate structure. This is something that's not me. And I had a particular skill set. I love martial arts. And what was the most obvious path was to create a martial arts school. At first I patterned it after the school that I came out of, Championship Martial Arts Academy. But I soon realized, and even as we're building EKF or whatever, I couldn't do what Coach Go was doing. I'm not him. I wasn't born and raised in China. My skill set was different. My attitude was different. I love Chinese martial arts, but I also love mixed martial arts. So it had to be something that reflected me. And I also love weight training. I love Olympic style lifting. So all of those elements had to be in there in order to create a gym that I enjoyed being at. If I could enjoy being there, if it had enough equipment and all of that good stuff where, I could just spend all day training here, hopefully that would, go out into the universe and other people would enjoy training there also. So that's really how EKF Martial Arts was born.
So it was like you took your passion, you just ran with it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There was that's what it had to be. Again, my mom, was study hard, get a good job, do something stable, maybe in accounting or business or something like that. My dad was always the guy with the big personality, and they're both immigrants. My dad sold insurance, so he essentially worked for himself or whatever. My mom was very much the stabilizing force, but I really inherited a lot of my personality from my dad, and so that's the route it had to go.
I know, especially with like Asians, like we have it's either doctor, engineer.
Yes.
One of those.
Yeah. So study hard, get a good job.
I know. That was my second question. Like, how did your childhood play a part in where you are right now?
It was very much, a lot of my childhood and formative years was through the 70s and 80s. And especially the early part of my childhood was formed by being in the Philippines, and my uncle took me to a movie, and within about 20 minutes of this movie, the main character walks into a karate school and just wrecks shop. And I'm watching this, and it's like, oh my God! There's nothing that as a 4-year-old, I've never seen anything like this, and I was just awestruck. And that was Bruce Lee. That was Fist of Fury or Chinese Connection, depending on where where it was released in the world. And from that point, it was, I need to be Bruce Lee. I need to do martial arts. I always loved Batman and like the old 1966 Batman series or whatever. But I knew that, still there's a disconnect. He was, a superhero or whatever.
Right.
When I was watching Bruce Lee, it was like, there's a guy just doing martial arts and he's wrecking shop, and this is just that just struck a chord in me. And a lot of kids, they'll see something and then the next day they'll see something else. I want to be a policeman, then I want to be a fireman, then I want to be a basketball star, then I want to be, at least from my generation, an astronaut or something like that. Or now, I want to be, an entrepreneur, social media guy or whatever. But for me, that was just something that struck a chord in my soul, and I wanted to do that. And so, a lot of my childhood was formed around Bruce Lee, the kung fu craze of the 70s, and then martial arts through that. And then also other things like Muhammad Ali, and I loved watching boxing with my dad growing up. There's what's called Wide World of Sports, and this was a show on ABC, and they'd always show boxing matches on Saturday or whatever, and I love watching boxing matches with my dad, and he boxed in the Navy, and so he loved boxing, and he showed me the basics of boxing with me and my brothers or whatever. But that was one of those things that really connected my dad and I. Anyway, so like Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee, and moving forward, even like Walter Payton. He's the greatest Bear ever of the Chicago Bears, and just his work ethic and his, he wasn't a showy guy, but his big thing was, like, every time you get into the end zone, you see a lot of people, dancing, doing all these end zone celebrations or whatever. His big thing was act like you've been there before. And so he just worked so hard, and he was so cool. And growing up in Chicago, Michael Jordan. So all of these things formed, were a big part of my formative years. And Michael Jackson, obviously.
Yeah.
So that my all of these things from my childhood and formative years really shaped who I am, how I approach martial arts and life, and hopefully it reflects in the school and how we deal with the community. So
nice. I want to go back to the part with Batman and Bruce Lee. So it's like the psychology says, like, you aspire to be with someone who you most relate with. So like, how like we look at Batman, like he's a billionaire, he's got all these things. Then you look at Bruce Lee, and he's much simpler, but he's also like, we have much more in common with him.
Sure.
It's like that's just something I see all the time.
Right. The disconnect with Batman, but with Bruce Lee, it was very much, that could be me.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that was one of those chords that struck my soul.
Coach Taylor is your son, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you raised him. Is where you are right now somewhere you want him to be, or where do you see that playing out?
So really, I really forever. I've always seen Taylor and I as Goku and Gohan. Okay. Taylor has been on this journey with me. He's walking the earth with me. There's no separation between him and I, and I love that. We're father and son. It's hard enough to have a good relationship with your parents. Going beyond just loving your parents or whatever. Sometimes that becomes difficult, and then especially for the child to not even okay. So there's love and respect, but to respect someone not just as your elder or whatever, but as something that they do. The way that they approach life, and I always felt that I got that from him. But I always thought that he was just a better version of me. So, it's very much just like, in Dragon Ball Z or whatever, how there's Goku, and then, even through like the Cell Saga or whatever, it was Gohan who's actually, the one who had the greater power, but it was that but ultimately through like the Majin Buu. Yeah, I'm getting really dorky on you. It is what it is. But Majin through the Majin Buu saga or whatever, Gohan grew up and he wasn't, and even though potentially he was the the greatest of the Z fighters, he didn't have that craziness that Goku has. Goku just wanted to be the best. Yeah, all he wanted to do is fight and be the best. And Gohan he had more potential. He was great. He was one of the great Z fighters, but he also knew that, oh, I can have a family and be more balanced and maybe not, rank, at a, 10,000 power level or whatever, over 9,000 power level. He could be at, 7,000 across the board and maybe be a much better, much more balanced person. And that's kind of where I see Taylor. He is, he's been training in martial arts since he was a little kid, obviously. He's trained in China. He's won national championships. He's also worked, and this is one of those other things where, my big claim to fame is my work through the Mortal Kombat franchise. Yeah. And he's also worked on the Mortal Kombat franchise. He's worked on it since, I think MK9 or DC versus MK. I can't remember where he jumped in, or Injustice or whatever. But he's worked on that also. And so there's a lot of the same beats that we have, but he's not driven to, and this is something that, for better or worse, especially as a younger person, my drive to, I need to show you that I'm the best, and just this ego-driven force to become better. He's much more balanced than I am at that. He understands his worth in the world, but he doesn't constantly need to be in everyone's face, showing, oh, look what I can do. And I love him. I love that about him. So
that's like confidence is silent and then arrogance is really loud. Like
yes, that's
awesome.
Especially for my group of friends or whatever, there's a lot of arrogance. But and that comes. But it's we could get around to this thing. But that was part of the magic of that original Mortal Kombat trilogy. So there's pros and cons each way. But for my money, I'm so happy that he is much more balanced.
I read this thing the other day. It was like, your dad is the only man who wants to see you do better than he did.
Yes, yes, very, very much so. Very much so.
The male psychology is all about competition. So I think like this dynamic is amazing.
But it has to be that.
And, of course.
But even within the school, I never understood the mentality, like especially the master is the greatest person in the structure or whatever. Whereas what we need to do, in order for anything to grow, I want the people that are training with me to become as great as possible, as fast as possible, and as soon as they exceed my skills, I love it. There's so many people who are greater fighters than me, greater teachers than me, and for me this is how the art grows. This is if I'm the greatest person there, then when I'm gone, does that mean everybody else is less? And so everything will just constantly keep declining or whatever. But if I can help people become, in whatever I can do, if I can help people become greater, then things will always grow. And that's what I'm trying to do.
That's such a humbling thing to hear. I know from a student perspective, if you don't mind, like from a student perspective, the coach is always the greatest. Like I'm not trying to like bolster you up, but like coach is always the greatest. And I know you can understand from your coach,
Yes.
but like from a training and skill perspective, like of course there's always going to be like someone better than you. There's always someone better than me or better than you.
Sure.
So I guess it's just good to have someone to take over the reins at the end.
Yes.
Even though in their mind, coach is at the
Yeah,
top.
and all of this stuff is, life, the universe is complicated. But yes, I want everyone to become greater than me. But in my mind, Coach Go is always going to be this legendary Yoda-like figure that I look up to. And then even before him, Sifu Lai was somebody that, is just one bad dude that I would never equal him in terms of fighting ability. And so yes, but given that, again, circling back to when I was talking about creating EKF or whatever, I knew that I couldn't be Coach Go. I couldn't run things exactly the way he did, and because it would just be a lesser version of what he was doing. But if I could take the skills that he gave me and add that to my own, then I could create something different. And I wouldn't say it's better or worse, but it is something that has evolved from what he taught me. And hopefully you and everybody else, there's something that I can offer you and that you can then take and evolve, and hopefully, as you pass whatever skills that you got from me on, they will, they'll always exist in this universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. Another question for you is like, how you said you'll never be that level as your coach. I'll never be your level. So does that mean over time the art itself goes down? Does it lose value, or is that something that?
No, I truly believe, for things to stay relevant, they're always going to evolve. Some
Right.
things are always going to be, there'll be some aspects that are, will be greatest at some point in time, whether that is now, in the future, in the past, or whatever. But overall, the art will, if it's to evolve, it has to grow. And I think, even something as simple as like MMA or something like that. You could see the growth in the last 30 years, or even how we approach combat and combat sports. Prior to the UFC, everything was like, oh no, karate's the best, kung fu's the best, jiu-jitsu's the best, or whatever. In those first couple of UFCs or whatever, Hoist Gracie, was able to show the dominance of jiu-jitsu. But then after that, people started learning a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and wrestling became like the dominant form. And then strikers learned a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of guard play, a little bit of takedown defense, and then everybody started to learn how to stand up, how to clinch, how to wrestle, how to throw submissions. And so is the striking from 30 years ago better than now? I don't know, but overall the sport of mixed martial arts has evolved tremendously, and I think all arts have to do that. So whether I'm better than Coach Go, I would actually never say that, and in my heart I don't believe that at all. But what I offer is still an evolution of what came before me. That's one of those things too. And you always hear about oh, is LeBron, and I love all of this stuff, but is Will Chamberlain the greatest, or Jordan the greatest, or LeBron the greatest, or whatever. Yeah. Everything and everyone stands on the shoulders of the previous generation, and that's what pushes things forward. Without my dad and the way he approached things, and the way my mom and dad and how they held the family together, to put me in a position to be here, and then for me to put Taylor in position to he lives in the northern suburbs. He it's just another evolution of this American dream or whatever. And he has 2 kids, and hope God willing that they become greater than him. But we all stand on the shoulders of the previous generation in order to make things better. So to think that we're so great. We're not great. We are taking what was given to us from the previous generation and hopefully pushing it to the next level. But that doesn't stop there. Hopefully the next generation is even able to push that even farther. So yeah, I don't, especially now, I try not to get caught up in I'm better than him, he's better than me. The previous generation doesn't know what they're doing. This new generation is just so lost. We are, in the grand cosmic scope of things, we're all just stacked together.
Tiny little speck of dust.
Yeah.
I was about to say this. Have you seen that picture where it's a ladder, but the rungs are the arms of the people that have helped you?
Oh, sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
awesome. It's like the first rung is your dad's hand, mother's hand, teachers, and it's just you just climbing up on what they've given you.
Yeah. I totally believe in all of that stuff. None of us are born great. None of us just become who we are without the help and support of the family, teachers, friends, all of that. We're social animals that need each other. This is how it is.
It's like I always hear the lone wolf story. It's like, I don't have friends. I don't have anyone. I'm a lone wolf. It's like you need the brotherhood.
Yeah.
You need your peers. You need guys to train with. Like it doesn't work out too long.
Yes, exactly.
So little steer away to a different subject. Why do guys need to know how to fight? Why is it important? Like, what's the point of an average Joe knowing how to fight? Why does he need to know MMA?
Okay, so within the structure of where we live, hopefully we don't need to know how to fight. Okay, but there's so many benefits from learning martial arts. From the physical perspective, being stronger, more agile, more flexible, all of these type of things, to really the mental aspect of knowing that in terms of martial arts, hopefully in this day and age, nobody needs to be able to fight to defend themselves or whatever. But there's so many benefits, from the physical aspect of being stronger, more flexible, more agile, spatial awareness, all of these type of things that come in martial arts training, to the mental aspects of confidence and knowing that you, especially when the training is hard or whatever, to know that you've done the hard thing, to be consistent, to see how you can improve just by showing up and doing the same things every day. There's dedication, there is consistency in that, and all of the the neurochemicals that are released during exercise. There's so many aspects of martial arts training, and then somewhere way down, maybe 5th or 6th or 10th or wherever you want to put this, the ability to throw an overhand right, to throw a hard spinning back kick, to be able to take someone down, to be able to submit someone, to choke somebody out. Those are great, and everyone should, have the ability to defend themselves, in an unarmed situation. But the benefits of martial arts is way beyond that. It is very much, physical in terms of strength and everything that comes with, being physically healthy, but especially the mental aspects. And there's so many aspects of self-esteem, respect, confidence. All of these things are just make for a better person. I'm sorry about that. It just makes for a better person. If you're more confident in yourself, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't, you can't hurt me with your words because I know who I am. I know who I am because I put in the work to become something that is reflective of how important I am to myself or whatever. I can put in the work. I can make things happen because I show up every day. I'm consistent. I'm stronger because I show up every day. I don't have to, like David Goggins said, I don't have to break things off. But if I show up every day and if I'm consistent, I can very easily gauge from, from where I am today from where I was 6 months ago. And so I know a lot of what happens to me is under my control. So it doesn't matter what you say about me. It doesn't matter what you think of me. If I could control how I want to be, if I can control a lot of the and there's so many obviously aspects in life that you can't control, but if everything that you can control, you have a good handle on, then it really just puts you in a better space to deal with all the things that you can't control. And I think that's one of the great things about martial arts.
So over time, you're building up both mental resilience and physical capability.
Yeah, and I think those things are almost inseparable.
Exactly.
They are inseparable. So yes, and then if I'm attacked or whatever, then, yes, I can slip that too. I can get the body lock, take them down, pound them out. Somebody else coming in, jump, spin back kick. Here we go. All of these things are great, but on a day-to-day basis, hopefully that's not happening.
It's not common, no.
Right, but being able to feel good about yourself, to be able to withstand. I heard somebody called me a racial slur. Bro, I don't care. If you want to cross this line, then yes, then we can do something. But I'm too busy looking good in order to care about what you have to say about me.
It's like people derive their self-worth. Like if you're mentally weak, you derive your self-worth from other people, but then the alphas of the world, they derive their self-worth from what they did.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just like that.
And the martial arts is just a very easy way to gauge your self-worth, especially when you're consistent and you put in the work.
Nice.
Like you're building up the confidence, going every day, training every day.
Every day.
Get hit in the face.
Yes, and then like realizing, that kind of hurt. So if you want to call me something, bro, your words don't have any power over me.
Exactly. And there's a paradox there. So it's the guy who is not confident will like he'll yell at a racial slur or he'll try to be alpha with his words, but the guy he knows who he is, he'll go a mile to avoid the fight because he knows he can take the guy
exactly
down. That's what I see all the time.
Yes, there's no benefit or there's no real benefit to show you're the alpha. If it comes down to that, then you have to defend yourself. You have to. There's no getting around that. But cats that are unsure of themselves, always looking to minimize someone else, to make them feel better. I don't buy into any of that. Just, work on yourself, become better, and the better you are, the better you're able to serve your family and hopefully the community too. So
I'll see guys going off of something stupid. Like they'll be picking at the stupidest shit ever, right? And it's like, oh wow, your confidence is really low.
Yes.
And then the guy, like, it's always the guys who know how to fight. They'll just do whatever it takes to not get into a fight.
Yes, and if this is something that this is another a thing that we come across this at the gym every once in a while. Oh, yeah. So if I sign up here, I could just I could beat the shit out of everyone. Like every we get come through this every once in a while. Like, bruh, okay. If it is something that you want to do, find a gym, find an organization that gyms are connected to, and yeah, there are more than enough opportunities to fight kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA, boxing, whatever you want to do or whatever. And but you don't get a free ride. You don't just get to walk in and beat people up, because first of all, that's not going to happen, and second of all, yeah, if you're so confident in yourself, put it on display, to the world. And there's so many MMA, organizations that you could latch onto and go on and show what you can do. But we're not here to stroke your ego. And even if it is something like that, then you know what? Sign up, put your $200 a month, in the pot, and let's go. But especially cats that I could just come in here and walk in and beat everyone up, right? Like, I don't know what you're thinking.
There's nothing more humbling than Wednesday night sparring.
Yeah.
I know, it's like for us men especially, like you provide and you protect, and like it's part of that protect part.
Yeah, this is just something in the DNA. It is, So, but yeah, I again, there are again so many aspects of martial arts that are beneficial, and yeah, whether it's Wednesday night sparring, whether it's you want to compete in smokers, or even amateur MMA. All of these things are great, but again, it constantly gets back to putting in the work. So if you want to, if you are such the badass or whatever, then put it on display. There are again many amateur MMA organizations. Sign up at a gym, get them to sponsor you into an MMA organization, and show how badass you are, as opposed to I'm badass. I train UFC. Like, oh, you're an idiot.
Show him. He gets his ass beat in the ring. I know, what's like you said, what's the ego part when you see with like new recruits? There's got to be a lot of it.
Yeah. So, and again, I think a lot of it is the male ego. A lot of it is the age group there. You're in your a lot of that comes from like when in your early 20s.
Yeah.
It is part of just the evolution of the species or whatever. So I whether it's trying to show your hierarchy in the social order, whether it's the prefrontal cortex not being all the way developed, or all of these things come into play. So I don't get too bent out of shape over that or whatever. But one of the things that always gets me is like, yeah, cats want to come in and they want to fight, but I don't believe that they actually want to fight. They want to jump on the top of the cage and have their hands raised and bask in the glory of being the dominant alpha at that time. Okay. And so it has nothing to do with fighting, and it's all about basking in the glory. But in order to bask in that glory, there has to be all the work that you have to do beforehand. And this is true not just in MMA, but in life. Everybody wants, the yacht. Everybody wants a mansion. Everybody wants, whatever. Uh, but until you're willing to, you know, figure out your path and work towards that, or whatever it is you want to do, you know, you're just living some sort of, you're engaging in, fantasy or whatever. Put in the work, have your goal, and then as you move towards that's when it starts meaning something. To, oh yeah, I'm gonna sign up here and I'm gonna be a UFC champion, and then, oh, you know what, you have to kind of show up to class. You kind of have to do all the training. You kind of have to get in physical, in better physical condition. You have to, okay, go through situational sparring and then live sparring, and then, okay, now let's start, in smokers, and then amateur competitions and amateur championships. And then it becomes this long road, like, oh, I thought I could just sign up and, be in the UFC and get my hand raised and, make the, get the proper 12, sponsorship. Yeah. And oh wow, there's all of these things that have to happen, and most of those cats, are out in a month or two or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a weeding out process, but a lot of it just comes from age and wanting, again, trying to show, hierarchy in the social order. Again, the brain not being fully developed, and all of these things. So it is what it is.
Everyone wants the view at the top of the mountain, but no one wants to climb the mountain.
Exactly.
You can take a helicopter up there, but you look like,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about your Hollywood experience.
Oh, sure.
And then Mortal Kombat, and then the video games. So you want to give me some background on that? Curious to know.
Sure. So, it's a pretty standard path where you're doing martial arts, and especially, you're influenced by Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, all of these things or whatever. You're doing martial arts, and everybody that you're doing martial arts with and competing with wants to do the Hollywood path or whatever. And, so I was taking acting lessons, where I went to Northeastern Illinois University, and I was a theater major for a bit. But I soon realized that wasn't the path for me, mainly because, again, the Hollywood structure is still a corporate structure. You have to, there's a game that you play, there's people that you have to suck up to,
right.
And the worst part about that is, there would be roles that everybody is going out for, and whether it's a small role, stunts or whatever, you have to do what you have to do in order to be successful. Okay, I'll buy into that. But for me, we're all supposed to be, friends, colleagues, competitors, or whatever. But we're all friends, let's just say that. And so many people would stab each other in the back for roles that have, no real meaning. These roles would be forgotten in a year. You're doing stunts on something, and nobody actually cares. In the long run or whatever. But you're willing to stab other people in the back for those things, and I couldn't do that. That's not who I am. There was there's somebody that that I know or knew or whatever, a stunt coordinator who, and this was one of those big things or whatever, a stunt coordinator who, when Mortal Kombat first came out, was essentially yelling and berating one of my friends for being involved in Mortal Kombat because it was, it didn't show martial arts in the greatest light. It was, it was just bloody and gory and the whole 9 yards or whatever. And every bad aspect that you could think about, God complaining about Mortal Kombat about. And then he was offered something in the Mortal Kombat movie, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's okay for you to do this now because now you're offered something in it. And so, I found that just so distasteful. And then, this person controlled various aspects of the Mortal Kombat franchise, and now we have to work with him in order to stay involved in the Mortal Kombat franchise. Where originally he was, oh, Mortal Kombat is bad. Mortal Kombat is a bad product until you're offered money to work on Mortal Kombat. Yes, and so things like that really gave me a bad taste in my mouth about the whole Hollywood thing. And I get it. People, you make sacrifices in life, and no, it doesn't matter what you're doing. And then it just has to, you have to be okay with the sacrifices that you make in order to be successful. For me, I was not okay with those kind of sacrifices to pursue that Hollywood dream. And so that's why I like, it's not, like the myth of like Kevin Smith or whatever. I don't know him personally or whatever, but being able to, develop, your own movies or whatever, and doing it off of your credit cards and being successful that way, not being caught up in the Hollywood machine. That's why I like Kevin Smith so much. You could argue that he did get caught up in the Hollywood machine, and some of his stuff later on isn't great or whatever. But the myth of doing things himself or whatever and being successful, doing things the way he wanted to do it, that really spoke to me. So that was my in and out of the Hollywood thing. So.
Anyone who messes around with ethics, they don't last too long in the long run. Is that something you've seen or no?
Yeah. So, in all honesty, cats that I know are successful, especially and I'm just talking about like especially in the martial arts entertainment industry because I know that pretty well. I couldn't say that if they were messing around, ethically ambiguous. I couldn't say or not if they're successful long term or whatever. I just know that for me, I have to be true to myself. I have to be able to look myself in the eye and think, okay, this is how you wanted to do things. And then, especially having a son, being able to have him be proud of me. This is one of those things that has always driven me too. It is, I need my son to be able to look at me and think, yeah, my dad is a good person. My dad did the things that he thought he had to do. And that in all honesty is more important than or here's a big paycheck to jump on this movie, or here you can worry more about how and again, I don't want to downplay any of this stuff, but worrying about these are different revenue streams in order to make the gym more successful, as opposed to putting out the best product available and then working that way, you know. So for me, just doing the best job possible, being true to myself, and having my son, to know that my son can be proud of me. This is important.
Would you say family is your biggest priority?
um, I think, yeah, especially as I age, I see family being more and more important. Uh, Obviously, from the get go, I've always known that my parents are, I wouldn't be alive without my parents.
Right.
My siblings especially have always been supportive, um, and all of these things. But again, as I'm no different than a lot of other people. As a child, you know, my mom and dad were the most important people in the world. Moving through adolescence, and again, uh, you know. Biologically or whatever, trying to separate yourself from the pack, all of these type of things. Yeah. I have no time for my mom and dad or my aunt or whatever, and moving into adulthood or whatever. Yeah, I love my siblings, but I don't have time to hang out with them. I don't have, I have things that I have to do. That's such the, I have, my brothers or my sister would, mom and dad need you to do something. Like, I don't have time to do this. I have my own things to do.
Right.
And so I'm no different than that, than people like that. But especially as I get older, and knowing that my parents are no longer here, I see another generation coming up or whatever. Yes, family. There is nothing more important than family. There's no getting around that. They are the ones who, and I can only speak for myself again, but they know who I am. They know all of my deepest, darkest secrets and insecurities and all my failings. And for some reason, they still love me. And so, so yeah, when you get something like that, you realize that, yes, uh, when all is said and done, family is the most important. And it's really, so you have your biological family, and you also have the family that you choose. And what for me, there I will refer to, there's a couple of different groups here. The MK family, the Mortal Kombat family, and the Mortal Kombat family were the guys that I've been training with since I was a kid, and we've had our ups and downs. We love each other, we hate each other, we compete against each other, and we're able to do Mortal Kombat together, and still to this day, last week I was at a convention with them, and they know who I am, I know who they are, and we are very much a family. And then my Kung Fu family, the cats that trained with me with Coach Go or whatever, those guys too, since as a very young adult, we've been friends, family. They've seen me at my best, I've seen them at their worst, and somehow we still hang out together. I don't know why, why they would choose to, but it is, those are the families that I've chosen. My biological family is the one that I was born into, but when they know who you are and they know all your failings, and yet they're still there to support you and love you, and it's the same. I don't want to sound like I just take. I know everybody's failings also, and within those family structures, yes, I'm there for them. This is something that doesn't go away easily. So
I know, especially today, like in the modern day, loyalty is a very lost subject. Like from what I've seen,
mhm.
it's hard to come by. But when you do get it, it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and that's why, yeah. So biological family, I can, and I have. I pushed the boundaries, and you know, but they're still my blood.
Right.
My older brothers and sister have to love me. It is what it is. But especially my kung fu family and the Mortal Kombat family, they don't need me. They don't. They're there's no we don't share the same mother, father, or whatever, and yet and still we all have each other's back, and especially that Mortal Kombat family. We've been friends for you know over 40 years or whatever. Those type of relationships are difficult to have and to maintain. And when you're able to maintain bonds like that over the course of from the last century into this century, which is no exaggeration. Though that's something that you have to nurture and hold dear, because people no matter what, come and go out of your life. But when you have people in your life from the previous century, this is something that you have to hold dear.
It gets better and better as the years
Yes.
go on. And like you said, like your blood has to love you. But
Yeah.
The other, you're like your kung fu family, your Mortal Kombat family. That's a different type of. It's a different feeling.
Yes. Very much
That's
so.
awesome. Awesome. What is the importance of strong men in society?
Oh my God. Okay. Yes. The importance of strong men.
I want to know your true, unfiltered thoughts.
Sure. So okay. So there is physical strength, and so there's a baseline of physical strength that everybody needs. You can aspire to be, let's just say, the strongest man in the world, whatever that happens to be. However that manifests itself to you, like the yeah the strongest man from the strongest man competition or whatever, or again, speaking from like me, Arnold Schwarzenegger or The Rock or something like that. Okay, so there's that physical strength, and you can aspire to be that. But physical strength is important, but there is a limit to how important that is in the world or whatever. Mental strength, not being confident in yourself, being able to again, whether it's dealing with racism, bigotry, changing social norms or whatever, just knowing that, okay, I'm okay with myself. I know I'm mentally strong enough to know that no matter what you say, if I believe this is true for me, you're not going to push me off of that. Granted, there should always be a flow of information. You should always be open to new ideas. I don't discount that, but you do need physical, a baseline of physical strength, because you have to be able to, protect, to be able to move things, to lift things, all of these type of things. You need emotional strength and confidence and mental strength, so that you're not just being pushed around, and even mentally strong enough to know, oh, I have this idea, here's new information, maybe I need to refigure these ideas without being, oh, but all my friends or my social groups or whatever say I have to do it like this, and so if I change, if I don't go along with what everybody else is doing, then I'm going to be ostracized or whatever. You need that mental strength in order to, okay, let me take in this new information and let me see where I am after I've thought this through. But I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing just because everybody else is doing it. And again, with that, the strong man being able to, you know, look, I can stand my ground. I know that you can't push me around either physically or mentally or socially. I will be who I am. I will make my own decisions. I will listen to the information. I will be open to new ideas. I will be open to, you know, new training methodologies or whatever it happens to be, whether, you know, but I'm secure in myself, and this is that strong man being able to, I'm okay, you know, secure within myself. I can defend who I need to defend, and I can defend my own ideas without worrying so much about, oh, but what is everyone else going to think of me? Am I going to be ostracized? Am I going to be, you know, am I going to be thought of as you know, am I going to be canceled because I have these ideas that are true to me? That I have no time for that. I have to be who I am, and that I, for me, that is the definition of the strong man. So.
And there's the big part about that is not caring what other people think.
Yes.
Is that something you ever came across?
No, you know, and I was just having a conversation with somebody else also. Yeah, we're talking about, actually, you know, we just watched UFC 300 or whatever, and it was, you know, two Chinese fighters as the co-main event on UFC 300, and you know, nobody, you know, especially being a, you know, big MMA enthusiast from the 90s or whatever, you would never think that, oh, you'd come across where two, you know, two Asian fighters who don't speak English being the co-main event of the biggest MMA event in history so far. And, you know, so we're just having that conversation or whatever. And this person is, you know, this person said, oh, I bet you, you know, there's been, you know, you've dealt with, you know, it became like this, you know, talking about bigotry and racism or whatever, you know, just because there's like, you know, Chinese fighters who can't speak English or whatever. And, you know, the conversation that kind of looped around to, you know, bigotry and racism, and they said, yeah, I bet you, you know, you've dealt with a lot of that, especially back in the day. And it was very much something like, you know, to tell you the truth, I don't spend a whole lot of time worrying about the haters. To paraphrase Jim Kelly from Enter the Dragon, I'm too busy looking good. I worry about what I can do, what I can control, who I am, and like, if I can, again, if what I'm doing can help the community, this is what I'm going to do. And if you want to say a disparaging word about me, I can't even hear it. I have my music blaring in the background. I have everything else going on that, you know, I don't care what you say. If there's something like, you know, oh, you know, you're doing something that's hurting people or hurting the community or something like that. Okay, let's take a second and let's talk about this and let's see if there's anything valid about that. And then I'm open to new information. I'm open to, okay, let's try to change things up if there's something there. But you don't just get to say, oh, you know, something bad about me and this is going to hurt me. You want to call me a name and this is going to hurt me. Cats, punch me in the face, like, yeah, you know, on the daily. You know, for decades, you know, people would kick me, take me down, beat me up, and your words are going to hurt me? I don't think so. So yeah.
This is why MMA is important.
Yes.
Oh, it's like a huge barrier being lifted when you don't care anymore.
Yes.
It's like a relief.
It is very much a relief. And again, you know, I don't I don't pretend to. Okay, yeah. This is the way it has to be, and I'm not changing off of this. Again, being open to new ideas. This is something that has to be, or else you're just trapped. You can like what you like, you can do what you do, but especially if there's a potential to be hurting other people or whatever, then yeah, let's have a conversation. Let's see what could change and evolve. But you don't get to tell me what I'm thinking because you want me to think the same that you're thinking. Let's have a conversation. Let's see what can change. Well, let's see if there are pros and cons on each side, and let's come to an understanding. But you don't get to dictate to me what I'm going to think. So that's for me, that's the strong man.
It's like sticking with what you think is right, just like how you did with Hollywood and your ethics and your morals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's important to me. And then being able to throw a good spin back kick. Yeah, that's also important.
Yep.